Welcome back. We're delighted to be with you.
You know, we really are. This is such a beautiful start to 2015. And here we are with this extraordinary fire energy for the month of January. And we've been talking a lot today about the Ascension energies of 2015 and how ancient science is kind of proving itself. You know, what we used to think was mythical is now we've kind of lived long enough and technology has gotten advanced enough that we're starting to discover the beauty of these ancient myths as reality.
Well, indeed, you know, from a distant perspective, it makes perfect sense that generation after generation would tell their stories, would have an oral record that would turn into a written record, and every time you tell a story, it gets changed a little.
Well, it's that telephone game, isn't it? You know, you ever play that game when you were a kid, you know, and somebody whispers in the ear something, and by the time it gets to the end, everybody's like, oh my goodness, that's not even close. But the reality is, if you take away the telephone game, if you take away the myths, underlying that are some very powerful truths. And we've been talking about them during the first half of the show and exploring this and talking about the energies that are opening up on the planet, of course, as we head toward this powerful moment. And Shri, I really want to dive into how powerfully the Shiva, and I'm going to say the word myth in quotes, and the tears of Shiva, and how the roshka came forward as we started talking about in the first half of the show, how much that has shifted our lives and how much you and I have rediscovered through this blessing. You know, I mean, I think about this time last year when I was screaming out to the universe saying, hey, you know, where's my guru? Show me.
You know, we all need help and assistance from time to time. And it's important to rekindle your trust in the universe. And regardless of religious overlays, belief systems, etc., it's been my perception that everything humankind needs is already on this planet, that the beautiful herbs and drugs that were derived from the Amazon have certainly spawned a whole pharmaceutical industry, which is a different conversation, and yet the natural healing is there. And over on the other side of the globe, the roshka tree has carried with it a mythology and an energy that Westerners are only beginning to appreciate. You know, it wasn't that long ago that the first yogis of the East came to North America.
Well, you know, I think most famously people think of Paramahansa Yogananda in the 1930s, and certainly I have a beautiful love and affinity for that extraordinary being, and his whole mission was this unification of East and West philosophies and to be able to show how much there is an overlay, that we are one, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely, and certainly in later years it's become more popular and accepted Ayurvedic science and medicine and the herbal wisdom from India.
Right.
The reason I offer that is the roshka is one of those elements that has a long history and is associated with prayer malas. Mm-hmm. You know, for the Westerners, you look at the gurus and the devotees of different Hindu sects, and you'll often see them wearing the beads around their neck.
Well, you know, I have to talk about that because in every faith there is their form of a mala. You know, you look at the rosary beads of a Catholic, you look at the prayer beads of a Tibetan, you look at the Buddhist chanting beads, you look at, there's so many things, but when we get to the essence of where did this begin, it was born out of the beauty of this blue star-born Avesa energy, the tears of Shiva that brought forward these stunning seeds, the roshka seeds, that were then created to form a sacred energy. And there's so much that got lost in translation, you know, so much. Just like with everything else, I see so many people, you know, certainly living here in Guatemala, so many people have rosary beads hanging from their rearview mirror, or they have whatever. But the sacredness, the understanding of this, it can be lost. And this is why understanding the science, understanding the beauty of the sacred roshka is more than just understanding an ancient mythology. This is an actual science. This is an actual gift that has come forward on the planet again through Nita Singhal, who I'm very excited to have on the show in just a moment, and through her many, many years of research, and then over 20,000 people, and including you and I now, this is just something that you can't deny. It's an undeniable blessing. And I feel that with 2015 being the start or the herald of this next ascension moment, that's why it's being revealed right now.
Well, everything has a timing, and there's certainly is a season where we're ready to accept the fruits of what's been offered. Now, the roshka tree is truly a grand, beautiful tree. And the beads that form these malas are actually the seeds of the tree. So if you just pause for a moment and think about the blessing that the great trees provide to us on the planet, and many people have an affinity to, the Russian cedars and the pines and the pine oils. And here from this part of the world, we have the roshka,
which is actually a form of an evergreen. And, I giggle because, of course, here in Guatemala, these trees are considered sacred. We don't have the roshka trees, but the fruit itself, and I love how as cosmic mystical beings, when we open up our heart, when we open up our pathway and remember that we left signs here, through all of our past lives, we seeded the planet, and the planet has been so cosmically seeded so that when the time was right, we would remember. And I just love that these fruits are blue. They're this beautiful blue color. And, to think about how, talk about the abuse, to think about how so many just throw these into vats of acid to reveal the roshka kills them, which is why the electromagnetic energies have been buried for so long. I mean, that's part of it.
Well, yeah, let me just back up for a second. What we've learned, jumping ahead and jumping back here, is that each of these seeds actually emanates an energy. And that energy, it can be felt, it can be seen on sensitive instrumentation, and that the quality of the energy actually varies according to the number of faces on the seed, the number of seeds inside the seed.
It's called a muki.
Yeah, the muki.
The muki face.
So in a scientific standpoint, there is an energetic wave that comes from these living seeds. Now, they're also visually attractive. So consider for a moment what happens when a subtle energy emanator is not really honored.
Right,
and the seeds are harvested, and the quickest way to separate the fruit from the seed is to throw them in some acid and grind away the flesh of the fruit.
Well, actually, when you say that, it hurts me. It hurts my heart. And here's the other piece, too, is that because of the mythology or the lore, going back to the first half of the show and what we were talking about, a lot of people fabricate them, and they're artificial. They paint them. They make them out of ceramic.
You can even get them in plastic.
Exactly.
And so.
But yet you don't know that.
No. To the naive or uneducated consumer, you don't know the difference unless you're highly sensitive and you start feeling. But even then, you have to compare them.
Yes.
You have to compare the real thing to what's not so good. And so what we're sharing with you is that there is a miracle right here on the planet, growing, and if it's harvested correctly, if it's not adulterated and treated with chemicals and other acids and things, the energetic qualities are preserved, and when they're brought close to your body responds in a good way.
Well, I like to call it that these are the tree crystals. That's kind of how I describe them as, for those of you that have an affinity to crystals, which of course, Shri, my beloved husband, I always call him the Merlin of the crystal world. But these are really tree crystals. And the reason I say that is, if you take a crystal in your hand and it's just been dormant somewhere, like you walk into a store or you see a crystal and you pick it up, you might first pick it up because it's visually attractive, but yet the energy isn't there. But if you pump it with love, if you invite it to awaken, because it has a living matrix, it will. And that's the similar gift of the roshka, that the roshka, if you have a roshka that has been hand, washed, meaning that instead of being thrown into a vat of acid, it's been hand revealed through the fruit. It's been lovingly prayed over. It's been held with the sacred energy. It's been rubbed with sandalwood paste and sandalwood oil. It's been invited to come forward. The mukis are revealed, because remember, you can go from a 1, which Shri and I both wear at our neck. It's called a Shiv Netra. It's a divine connection to the universe all the time, all the way up to 21 faces. And so there's an overlay in this of ascended numerology. There's an overlay of the energetic principles of the way that these lay out, the way that they're worn. This is the beauty, that when you hold something with sacred energy, then it gives back. It becomes a union. It becomes a sacred union.
And there's a whole science, much more than we can cover here today. The number of faces, the quality of the energy of these seeds affects the human body in different ways, affects your energy field in different ways. pathways, different organs, different systems. It's truly a science, and that science takes a little bit of study in order to understand.
Yes, it does.
And for those of you that might be listening to this on a podcast, we invite you to drop back to shriandkiraradio.com, and there's a button on the homepage to the actual curriculum where you can learn all about this.
And we feel so strongly about this, that with this year of Ascension, with 2015, this is the year a lot of people thought was going to happen in 2012. It's actually happening now. And that especially as we go through the first 3 months of the year, leading up to what we're calling the Ascension Escalator of March, which is just going to grow in energies over the next 7 years, my angels. Remember, we're 2015 through 2022. And so click on that button and learn more about the Roshka science and join our class. If you happen to be hearing this before mid-January 2015, then join Shri and I live. This is a $22 world service class. You're going to be receiving literally thousands of dollars of information for $22 because we feel so strongly about this. And if you're joining us after the middle of January, it's a home study program.
Absolutely, and the recordings will be there for you. But nonetheless, we are really excited about this science and being able to support your education, let alone your harmony and your peace and health. And the other aspect of this is the understanding of the energies of sacred gemstones.
Yes.
That's called Ratna.
Yeah.
That's science. So the Rudrashka seeds carry energetic, balancing energies that support the chakra system of the human body. The Ratna also works with the meridians. So these gemstones, you know how you might be attracted to an emerald or a ruby or a sapphire, and you go, oh, I have an attraction. Mm-hmm. That's your instinctual knowing. The science is knowing which finger that stone should be on, which meridian needs that energy.
Well, and unlike wearing something solely for jewelry purposes, it's the size of the stone, it's the way that it's cut, it's the way that it's set, it's the way that you wear it. And, Shri, this is where we really need to start talking about Nita Singhal.
Absolutely. And so we're really excited about this science and the natural, holistic properties of it. And a person that has brought this forward that we had the honor to meet is Nita.
Nita is such a beautiful soul on this planet. There are, as all of us know, as we are ready, the teachers appear, and as the teachers appear, more teachers are made. And that's the beauty. Shri and I have had that beauty. We recently celebrated our 12th wedding anniversary, and, for 12 years, we've been dedicated that this is our life, this is our mission, this is our service. We recently had someone ask me, he said, how do you guys do and accomplish everything you do? And I just had to sit and smile and remind myself that because this is not our work, this is our life. And I share that because that's very much what Nita has done. Nita Singhal came into our lives after, quite frankly, a very powerful serendipitous event. Shri and I were doing a class, we were teaching, and there was a woman who was wearing, a beautiful woman, Aparna, hi Aparna, who was wearing a Rudrashka crystal mala that called to me in a way that a mala has never called to me before. And it sent me on a search. And a lot of you may have already read our book, Kira's Cure. If you have not read Kira's Cure, you can grab it at Amazon. It's on, Kindle. You can get it in PDF. You can grab it at our website. You can grab it right here at the Shri and Kira radio site. Just click on claim your cure, excuse me. But the reason I mention that is because, as you know, Shri and I spent a year dealing with some very serious physical challenges. And it was during that time that I kept calling out to the Archangel Realm. I kept calling out to the Ascended Masters. I kept calling out to the universe and saying, show me, show me. I felt like there was a missing piece for Shri and I. We are birthing the cosmic Essene back on the planet again. We've been working with the Blue Starborn and the Archangelic Realm, but there was this piece, like this final piece of the puzzle, so to speak.
Well, I'm pausing for a moment because bringing spirit into form, when we connect with the etheric realms, things are certainly a lot more easy when we're not dealing with the body.
Yeah.
But the physical body is both a joy and a responsibility, and it is indeed carries all the marks of your travel, and it's the intersection between the joy of your energy and the effort of physical life. And the key is to transform effort into ease, to allow the body to be a happy partner in your earthly journey. And so, yes, the solution for happy partnership is partially spiritual and to a large part energetic.
Absolutely. And, through all this experimentation and calling out and paying attention to the signs of the universe, shortly after Aparna left, she was here for a beautiful workshop with us, I discovered Nita. And this was no accident. This was meant to be. Nita was already talking to Shri and I through the mala that Aparna was wearing. And the moment that I connected with Nita and her work, there was a sense of home. There was a sense of completion. There was a sense of this was the missing piece. This brought together Avesa. This brought together the Blue Starborn reunion because, of course, Shiva was Blue Starborn. This brought together the cosmic Essene. And so, of course, similar to when Shri and I first had the blessing of receiving the Egyptian healing rods, we became our first guinea pigs.
Absolutely, and both Kira and I started to experiment with the different Rudrashka beads, with the sacred jewelry and the Ratna, and it didn't take very long to feel the positive results.